Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gift of Gaming podcast. And on this week's episode, myself and Craig are going to talk about our most wanted remakes. What's up? It's me, your host, Darren Wadham. Today, I'm joined by, of course, Craig, the critical Nolan. Craig, how are we?
I'm very good, Darren. Thanks for having me on.
My absolute pleasure. Craig, it's been, a while. I think I know what you're playing, but I thought I'd ask the question, lead in before we get into today's topic. What is it you're playing right now?
Up until probably yesterday, I was playing Unicorn Overlord. I think I mentioned it on this thing before.
Yeah, you were...
I think I kind of just started it.
You just started. You were kind of raving about how much you were enjoying it, but you've since finished it, right?
I since finished it and then started all over again on a higher difficulty and cleared most of it again.
What's your time in the game?
It's at least 100 hours now.
Fucking hell, nice. Okay.
So I got definitely my money's worth of zero out of it, as it was on the PlayStation Plus catalog.
Yep.
But a crazy,
what a bargain
crazy
for you,
good game in terms of like strategy RPGs and a great evolution of the Fire Emblem game to have like a unit of soldiers as opposed to just one at a time. That way you can have kind of bigger armies without having fucking 100 units on the screen at once.
And with the people that you're kind of putting into these units, can you mix and match in different kind of
massively? And like in the OG Fire Emblem games, I'd say there's usually between say 10 and 15 classes. In this, there's about 50 classes, so right. Like you couldn't even, if you wanted to have one of everything, that would be it,
Okay.
And even then they're still introducing you to more characters, and you can endlessly, basically you don't have to have named characters in your group. Like I can go out to forts and recruit, and often you'll do that because say you want, realistically you're only going to get with such a massive cast, you're only going to get one or two of any given type that's in the story.
When you talk about type, you mean class, like in terms of knights,
let's say a cavalier or a knight. You're only going to get one or two at most of those. Fair. So if you want more, if you want to like for me, I love wyvern units, so I recruit loads of those. But I can like pay to like hire them to my army, and I can modify their stats, and I can change the like color of their armor and stuff like that. Can't change the faces or the hairstyle, which is a bit of a shame because
but some customization is still quite
some customization is good, but it sucks in like the narrative when like every one of the enemies is identical. You're up against a knight and it's just a knight with a helm on, but like his voice will be different, but otherwise he's just like every other knight you fought. Like,
right, okay.
And like he'll have the exact movements as all the others. About 5 or 6 different would have been great, or give us the option
just to keep it somewhat fresh while you're playing the game. Yeah,
but tactically, some units work really well with other ones. Like say a witch can like very similar to say Steiner and VV in Final Fantasy 9. A witch can like power up
other people
a warrior's sword, so that all of a sudden he's doing like magical damage to like a heavily armored unit, which wouldn't usually be affected by a sword, but because the magic is imbued with it now does a lot of damage. So they kind of synergize with others.
Nice.
And finding combinations that work is just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like if you were the person who went to a YouTube video and watched the like top 5 like loadouts that are possible, you would ruin the game for yourself because there's no reason to not use that anymore.
That just becomes the most OP,
and essentially
there's no point
like
changing.
Though those units in those combinations just do everything for you, so you're no longer playing a game anymore.
Okay. It's like just auto battle.
Watch it, because the auto battle thing, you tinker with what works and what doesn't, and it's constant tinkering with like, okay, my attack didn't go off the way I wanted it to because I timed it poorly. Like it was supposed to go off when I used a magic attack, but my character didn't use the magic attack, so it just didn't work. And you're constantly tinkering with your own strategies to make them work better. Yeah. So if you just have a completed strategy that someone's given to you, you're not playing a game anymore.
No, it's kind of like, I mean, I like looking up a few bits and pieces for video games when I've gotten to the end. I'm like, oh, there's a few other things I need to find or get. But the idea of guiding yourself from start to finish is like, what's the fucking point of playing the game?
I really didn't like that. Yeah. It bothers me as well. It happens in RPG games when like it's fine to like use certain strategies like in a turn based, but like generally if you're just picking the right option, you're not playing, you're not strategizing, you're just looking up what someone has told you to do.
Now I would have done that in the likes of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for materia setups to fight bosses
on
hard
mode. You were dodging
mode.
And you roll like you're not
exactly.
just choosing attack or like you have to do those things. But this is a type of game where like once you win the battle, I don't do anything. The characters just go ahead and do what they're doing. So it's all about the strategy, and planning that out is the fun, and I love that. Like, and it's so great, especially when you know how units work.
Okay, yeah.
So
When you're in it.
I almost enjoyed my second playthrough more because I
understood
how it was all. And when there's like 50 different units, like your first playthrough, you're just like, I'm just gonna put random units in squads and just see how it goes.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And you're not tinkering that much because it takes an hour to like remap a whole squad, like, and it's kind of boring. But out of 10, I give it a strong 9.
Jesus, okay, fucking hell.
Yeah, I think it would be up there. Like, you're getting so much content.
Yeah.
And it's the like evolution of Fire Emblem that I really wanted.
Right.
Other than make your own Fire Emblem game, which I've preached before on here. Like, that's
the
kind of Mario Maker kind of game I would build. I just think that's perfect. You know, Game of Thrones scenarios. Sorry, I'm going off topic. But like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, build your own fantasy adventure.
There's such a, as you said, there's such a blank canvas for that. If there was a Mario Maker version of that, you'd have people creating deadly things.
And just the same, if there's a Unicorn Overlord version of that, you know, I'd go for that too.
Yeah.
Because the game lends itself well to a new kind of strategy RPG system, but the story is atrocious. And the reason the story is atrocious seems to me that they basically drew a bunch of faces, and you can play as all of those characters, and there's no other faces that you can't play as, so they just regurgitate all your allies. Like, once you beat an enemy, he becomes your ally instantly.
Okay.
And they just try and make that the narrative. So I figure like the narrative was built around that because they didn't want to work.
They had a great gameplay thing. They were like, we have no story. Well, let's build it around the gameplay.
Like, pretty much, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, every single enemy is just recruitable. And, you know, so that doesn't work for me narratively because I've no one to hate. No one, like, as soon as you beat them, they're like, oh, I've come to my senses, you know? I'm like, but where's the villainy? Where's the Joffrey who I really want to see killed?
Where's the arsehole who I'm going to go march on this entire game?
Because even in the Fire Emblem, like, you'll often see cutscenes about the characters, like, off screen that you're not playing as.
Yeah.
In this, you don't really see that. You're kind of always viewing what's happening. Like, nothing's happening. Like, meanwhile, over at Evil Castle, you know, like,
there's just no story.
Whereas Fire Emblem did that, and they were like coming up with hideous plans and stuff. But I'm like, make me hate you more. I can't wait.
This is the reason I'm playing the game. Yeah. See, that's where I'd really struggle, because I would, for a game like Fire Emblem, I think I enjoy the strategy side of things, but I'm in it for a little bit of what's going on with these characters. I think I struggle with Unicorn Overlord, because a game like that, I think it's important for it to have a really good story, because I don't know if I would
have said that too, but
you had a great time.
I still had a great, absolutely great time with it. Plus, I mean, it's not terrible. It's just very, like, the story should be good. It's just there's no villains really.
Yeah, there's no one, as you said. You need an antagonist.
Yeah,
you need like something big.
Other than the very beginning and the very end, the antagonist isn't really in the game. You know, it's kind of it's one of those cases, kind of like Breath of the Wild, where like he's there. It's a level 40 mission, and you're allowed to start that if you want, but you'll get killed. Yeah. But at any time, you can just fight the final boss. You know,
really?
And if you were good, like if you were level 20 and you had a good strategy, you could do it.
Right.
Know? So that is at least kind of cool. And in a similar way, like, I mean, did you play much of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom?
I got pretty far in Breath of the Wild. Never played Tears of the Kingdom, but I did. That was the only problem. I did. What would you say? Overindulge in world exploration, and therefore I never finished the game. Yeah. Which was the real killer for that one, because there was so much to see. So much. And then there were often times where I'd pick it up and play it, and I'd go and I'd be exploring, and all of a sudden I'd get into a shitty situation and die, and I'd be like, I'm going to leave that for a while, you know? Yeah. And then I came back not really knowing what I was doing anymore. So as much as I can see where everyone was coming from with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom being a great game, it never really resonated with me. I really enjoyed it at the first, but at the second I was like,
It is quite similar to Unicorn Overlord in that sense of that, like, there's just a main villain there. That's the final dungeon.
You just do whatever you want until then.
Yeah, you can go save the other kingdoms, but you don't have to. In the same way in Breath of the Wild, you can save the Gorons and the Zoras and get more stuff. In this, it's the same. There's 4 other kingdoms. It's pretty much Breath of the Wild, but with Fire Emblem tactics thrown in. But no, I had a really good time. I got over 100 hours for it, and it's absolutely free. So, like, you know, if anyone is curious, I definitely recommend
give it a go. Craig, I myself, if we're talking about games we're playing currently, before we get into our subject matter, I have been absolutely hooked. I mean hooked. I wake up, I go to bed thinking about this game.
Are you still hooked on it, even a few days later?
Pocopia, man.
Yeah, wow.
What a great game. What a surprisingly.
Do you think it's pulling at what you like, or do you think it's genuinely a really good game?
I think it's genuinely a really good game under those genres. So in terms of your cozy game, your builder, your Animal Crossing kind of island life kind of game. If you're not into those, I don't think you're going to like this. Even with the Pokemon skin, I don't think it's enough to pull you in. But I love a cozy game. Animal Crossing, I hundreds of those. Yeah, so I don't know I don't think you would like this. I just rolled credits on it last night in terms of the storyline. So there's huge amounts to do post credit scene. But even from there's a narrative. There's a kind of
the narrative interested me a lot.
The narrative is,
even though I'm sure it's one of those things where they'll say, "Oh, it's an alternate world," and none of this.
Well, yeah. In terms of, but like, who's following the fucking Pokemon canon storyline? Should I mean all the games don't have a. This is what really interests me. Is that
unfortunately,
huh?
The games don't, unfortunately.
No, and
they did for a couple of games, and then they just gave up.
But this has pulled me back into because you and me have sat here and we've done a lot of kind of shitting on Pokemon, the Pokemon company or games.
Oh, I love doing it, yeah.
Yeah, this one has pulled me back, man. This one is, I've really connected with this game. I've really connected with the storyline of this game. I finished it and it was a really sweet, but kind of like melancholic ending, like quite sad ending to the game. And really, I was sitting there being like, oh man, this is quite sad.
That's kind of cool for Pokemon games to like make you feel that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
usually they're like, oh, we can't, make 3-year-old kids cry. We can't do that.
Just go fight the Elite Four, whatever they're called in this version of the game. Do you know what I mean? But it was a really sweet storyline, and now that it's ended, you get the credits roll, and you get kind of like an end credit scene, and that end credit scene made me think, okay, I absolutely still want to continue playing this game because your whole thing is that you're all these Pokemon. I won't go into kind of big heavy spoilers, but the thing is, your Pokemon without your trainers, you don't know where the humans went, and your whole thing is trying to build, like, the world seems kind of a bit wrecked, so you're just trying to build a better environment in the hopes that the humans will return because you don't know what's happened to them. Okay. And at the end piece just makes you want to, I need to continue improving this environment. Do you know what I mean?
We're so close.
Yeah, exactly. So I finished. I rolled credits on it last night, and then I was playing a bit today at lunchtime. I was like, okay. Now I got to sit down in each of these kind of areas. There's like 4 areas plus like a custom area. The custom area you get to name whatever you want, and it's just a kind of a blank slate. Okay. All the other ones are like, we've got Celadon City, Viridian City. Is Viridian? Oh no, which I always forget the SSN.
That's
Vermilion. Okay, so you got these kind of places that are in bits in their own way, and I just want to, like, kind of Minecraft or like your Animal Crossing, get rid of all this shit, get these houses build these habitats for Pokemon, and the Pokemon are all interacting with each other and interacting with you, and it's quite sweet. Again, if you're not into cozy games, it's not going to be for you, but I've enjoyed kind of sitting there. We did a funny thing years ago where we, myself and a group of mates we'd ask each other, what kind of, if I was a Pokemon, what kind of Pokemon do you think I would be? Everyone gave me Farfetch'd for some reason. So when I found Farfetch'd, I was like, all right, you follow me. So Farfetch'd is just me and Farfetch'd run around the whole time. A lot of time, which has been great. But they all interact with each other. So like a really cool thing that I didn't realize was that I found Charizard. I had gotten Blastoise and Venusaur, and I was like, oh,
none of them like evolve, right? So it's
you find them all as separate Pokemon. So I got Charmeleon and Wartortle and all that kind of stuff as well. But I found this Charizard, and he had like a bit of a sad kind of icon over his head. I was like, what's wrong with Charizard? So I went over and asked him. He was like, hey, don't suppose you see my pal Venusaur around? Like, I haven't seen her in such a long time, and I miss her or whatever. And I was like, fuck, man, I know where Venusaur is. She's back in fucking the Withered Wasteland. Let's go. I'll bring you. Like, as in, you can just say, come on, follow me. That's okay. But in my head, in my canon,
like, how is this going to go?
No, in my canon, I was like, well, I know where Venusaur is. Follow me. So I took Charizard and brought him to the other area where Venusaur was. I was like, okay, I'll leave these guys to it and see if they interact. And lo and behold, the two of them start talking to each other, and it brings an icon up, and for you it says, what's this all about? And you listen into them, and the two of them start talking about the times they had with their trainers. And Charizard goes into kind of like, the Pokemon animated TV show or movie, like he talks about like, oh, we went to space, or I was almost, me and my trainer, he was training me to be so powerful I could fly into space, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh shit, we're talking about like legitimate, like
any Charizard to use seismic toss can technically go into space.
True, but we're talking about like in terms of, we've only seen that through the
anime.
They
have that animation going around the world.
But I was like, oh cool, so we're actually, and like Venus was talking about, yeah, and me and my trainer, we travel the world together and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, hey, listen, I'll keep you company. We'll find our trainers together, but in the meantime, let's keep each other company. I'm like, this game is so sweet, but I love it, man. I think I've found 150 something Pokemon at this stage. They're from all of the games. Yeah. So I don't think there's like, you don't get all 151 from Kanto. It's like,
that would be unfair.
It'd be a massive. Yeah. But the Kanto selection is huge, which is really resonates with me.
It always will be.
Yeah, because it's
every
like
game.
I was getting these Pokemon. I was like, I'm into Pidgey. Like, I'm fucking give me Charmander. Like, I'm into it's the classics that I remember. I'm 50 hours into that game, which I roll credits. I can see myself. This is one of those ones that if I'm just looking for something to pick up and play for a little while, this one will last me 50, 60, 70, 80 hours more, like just to finish off all these other
just
side
to
bits.
give everyone a house or whatever.
Yeah, and like there's constant like side quests coming up that like the Pokemon might have tasks for you for certain things, and there's these kind of like end game stuff, like there's a mystery, there's like a temple built underground that you're finding like mysterious stones that like fall into place. I don't know what you're going to get. I think it'll lock the unknown Pokemon because the symbols look something
have
similar.
You unlocked? Because I heard there's legendaries that you have to just kind of stumble upon.
I've stumbled upon 3 of the legendaries so far, but they're the legendaries that you come across through the story. I think you can go to like what are Dream Islands. There's a Pokemon that can send you to Dream Islands, and there's something one in whatever
Dream
chance
Islands.
that you can find other legendaries. I haven't come across any in the Dream Islands, but great game, man. I'm like, for me, 9 out of 10 in terms of like, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you like Pokemon, if you like cozy games, fuck man, you're going to have a great time.
I like
you're gonna
Pokemon.
Have
don't like cozy games, and I hate in 3D the way the Pokemon don't say their name.
No, so this is a killer thing for me, and it gets quite annoying sometimes when you're having a conversation, because I think I told you this, I turned the volume of the Pokemon noise down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because when the
But you should not have to do that.
No.
A Pokemon shouldn't just go
yeah,
when like you talk to it.
But what's quite interesting was that I came across I guess maybe spoilers for this for people, but I came across Mewtwo in the game, and Mewtwo made the Mewtwo sound from Pokemon Red and Blue. Yeah, but what was really interesting was the moment he spoke, I was like, I got like this blast of nostalgia of like that moment where he appears in the battle. Do you know that kind of way when you first came across Mewtwo and you're like, fuck, I need a Master Ball or I can't catch this guy? You get loads of those kind of little blasts of memories, and it's nice. You're picking up little bits of information people leave behind. Books or tablets with information of like what was happening with humanity and all this kind of stuff. So for me, I'm like, I need to find more of that shit. Like, I need to find more of those things, figure out what was going on. Great game. 9 out of 10. Love it. I was so surprised. I bought it thinking I'd enjoy it, completely underestimating how much I've enjoyed it. Great game.
Well, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. No, listen, fair. Like, again, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you like a cozy game, fuck, man.
If you like that nonsense.
But let's get on to today's topic, Craig, which is remakes. The top 3 remakes that you and me would most like to see be made, be created for us to play again in. And I guess we didn't lay down any sort of like hard rules for this. I guess the remake can be in whatever fashion you want. So we could talk about like a Final Fantasy VII remake, which was like from the ground up with a twist on what the game was, or you could talk about a 1-for-1, just better graphics.
I don't think I'd
remake.
ever want a 1-for-1.
You'd want
remake.
something a little bit
I
different.
just feel like, and they'll always do a remaster and claim it's a remake, like the Metal Gear game, and I think you're crap, you're lying to us. You know, like that's just you just trying to price your game higher than it should. So no, in every situation, I think, like, first off, you're remaking the game, but then like whatever. Like, if you were the person who played the game and you wanted to remake it, surely you thought to yourself, oh man, I wish the game had this, or if only you could do this. Like, because every game I've ever played, I always have a little list of stuff I would want included if there was DLC or something, without exception. Like, every Unicorn Overlord, Pokemon, name it, like, every single game I've ever played, I would then be like, oh man, I wish I had this and I wish I had that. So how could you be the person to remake a game and not want to do that? Like, that means you're fucking lazy and you didn't give a fuck in the first place. Like, because if you don't have that stuff, then it's a remaster.
Yes,
In my mind, although, because like, I just don't believe you. I don't believe your intentions. So a lot of the ones I've kind of chosen are more, I would like it remade, but with a ton of new stuff.
Okay.
Like, it mightn't even, the game could only be a year old. But like, I'm like, no, do it again and do it right this time. Like one, and sorry, this isn't even one that I've written down, but like Fire Emblem Three Houses. For me, that game is completely unfinished. The narrative from the Red House didn't go all the way, and they kind of skimped on the content in the end. Plus, with all 3 houses, they did the same missions in the same order,
which is what killed the momentum for me.
You're kind of like, there's no point having a file on the next house or the next house if you're just going to play the exact same way again. I did it all 3 times anyway because I needed to see what would happen. And I do like the character arcs and the stories, but generally you needed separate missions, and I feel a few maps there would have been fantastic. Now, I haven't named that as one of my games, but that's the type of thing I'm going for here. Darren,
that seems good. So do you want to hit us off with your first one then?
My first and most best, like, it's the game I want remade more than any other game, is Skies of Arcadia Legends. I've talked about Skies of Arcadia Legends on here before, as a game I would like a remake for, but like, especially if we're going for our favorites for me, I just have to mention it, because if it was remastered and put on like the Switch or Switch 2, I'd buy it, but I know I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Too old games old.
It's too old, and like it hasn't aged as well as say the Final Fantasies has, because the music isn't like fucking exceptional.
Yeah.
And the amount of random battles you get into in that game, like I wouldn't be able to tolerate that now, you know. Like Skies of Arcadia Legends is one of those places where there's loads and loads of dungeons. For people who don't know, Skies of Arcadia Legends is like an RPG, very much like it's closer to Final Fantasy 9, I would say.
Yeah.
Like airships are a massive thing, and like every city, every location is in the sky. So humanity at some point was destroyed, and all these islands get formed. And so you need to go on an airship to get anywhere. Mm-hmm. And if you fall out of that airship, you are dead. Like there's no touching the ground. Like you are gone. But the game, you go to a lot of these dungeons in typical Final Fantasy to kind of find these powered up kind of summons, and you know, use their power to, you know, kind of bring about this new kind of basically you're trying to stop the world from being blown up, and like there's evil forces trying to get these giant summons, and you try to get them first.
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
To stop them.
A
because
race.
These summons are like when they're called, they can devastate the planet. And
okay.
they may have been what destroyed it in the first place, but who cares? So a reason I want this remade is just I think turn-based ship-to-ship combat has so much room for creativity in fighting that you could definitely, like, generally it was you could build up your ship and
sorry, this was originally turn-based. Yeah,
this was originally a turn-based combat system where there was battles between your characters and enemies, but if you were in the sky on your ship, you would go ship to ship, and like your characters would be mounting cannons and firing at the enemy ship and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I would love for them to remake the game, take it one bit further, and have like your entire ship and your entire crew involved in the battle. So like you could use a turn to kind of, you know, jump across to the enemy ship, or, you know, fucking climb up the mast, fucking sword in your teeth type of shit to try and get the gunner up in the mast. Maybe you're grappling down the side of the ship to attack the people in the cannons, that type of stuff. But all that is movement and turn based, so it's not just walking, it's like climbing and grappling down and moving all about the ship, you know, seamlessly. I love the idea of doing that, and not only just having your cast of characters, but a bunch of recruitable characters you can bring on your ship.
So it's a proper like you know, all hands on deck type thing.
Massive ship with a massive crew, and even though you have your team of 4 who are your main crew, when you're in those ship-to-ship battles, I think it should expand to have similar to Black Flag, except turn-based, but like everyone is doing something and battling and doing this, that, and the other. But I would love this, because the narrative in that game was really, really good, and all the villains were like kind of campy, and like you love a campy villain. I love a campy villain. And their airship always matched their personality down to a T. Like it'd be really cartoony and like Japanese looking. Like one of the guys, his airship was basically a giant gun, and like when he was using his special attack, like a shotgun, the ship went and just fired this giant massive bullet, like, you know, which would annihilate any ship, you know, because his whole ship is just a big gun. Like,
right.
But there was very cartoony elements to the ships like that, and they had very special attacks and cool little stuff.
And in terms of, so I know you're talking about kind of like quality of life improvements, but when you look at this as a remake, would you like to see it graphically
massively overhauled for now? Like even in the base game, like you're going around the world, and there's, I'd say, about 7 towns total, you know, and like in like there's 6 different like regions, and each one has maybe 1 town, you know. So you're like, oh, you're going off to the desert region of the Kingdom of Nazareth. Nazareth is 1 town, you know, and you're going over to Valois, the Imperial Kingdom, 1 town, you know, and like the world is just a little small. I'd love for more towns, more factions warring with each other, you know, and just make it a bigger scale. Because
do you know who made the game?
Sega made it. But I don't know, like Sega, I think maybe just produce. It could have been a smaller team. But they originally came out for the Dreamcast and then got ported on the GameCube. But like on a lot of people's like games they'd like to see remade, it's high on the list, because I've gone through loads of lists, like looking, what do I want to see remade, you know? And this was always one I always knew I wanted, but it's interesting to see how many people, I didn't even know many people had played this game, but to see that it's so high on everyone's wish list for a remake.
And I think people probably want a remake as well, because it's getting harder and harder to play the game. As time moves on, it's getting harder and harder for people to have a GameCube with this game, or to have a fucking Dreamcast with this game on it to still be able to play it, because it hasn't been
Right.
ported to anything, right? Apart from the GameCube, it's not been ported to anything.
No, I haven't seen it at all. But
Yeah.
like we've so many RPGs with just moving soldiers or moving tanks. Why can't we have airships? You know? Why can't we have anything?
And I love, like, as in, we're Final Fantasy fans. We love a good airship.
Yeah, we want to see that brought in, because like just flying it around on the world map, that's not enough. I want to fire cannons. I want to see it like dock. Like maybe Final Fantasy Part 3 will literally have us like flying the high wind down, and maybe as you get low enough to the ground, you bail out on your chocobo and keep running without fucking missing a beat. Like that seamless type of shit. I want to see that. But if I can't, give me Skies of Arcadia and let's do it that way.
That's fair. I like that one. Yeah, no, that's a good shout. I think my first one was more of I was kind of looking at like what remakes I'd want, and yes, like when I'm looking at these other two that I'll mention are kind of, they're bigger games. But what I'd really love to see kind of either come back as a new iteration or just remake what was there is Ape Escape.
Ape Escape.
Konami would have done it. Your whole thing was you played as this guy called Spike. You had a number of different weapons. You had like a baseball bat for knocking out monkeys. You had a net for capturing them. You had a radar for trying to pick up where the monkeys were. And you were kind of just brought into these kind of small areas. Kind of, again, you're talking PlayStation 1 era, but you're brought into these small areas, and your job is to, like, it's a platforming game, run around, don't get killed, and try and capture all the monkeys. But the game had a really good sense of humor. So like you could go into a platform and there might be like a guy monkey and a girl monkey on different sides. And if you use the radar thing, it would lock onto a monkey and give you a little bit about them.
Hide and go seek, is it?
Essentially, kind of thing. But like, it was a really fun arcade game, and I have two kind of big games in the remake genre. But I was like, I'd love a kind of pick up and play platform arcade game, because like the likes of Astro Bot was so much fun to me, which kind of had a similar collect-a-ton type of vibe, but I'd love to do it with the Ape Escape, because Ape Escape had such a great sense of humor. These monkeys were funny. Like if you came across them, you could go into a world and all the monkeys would be kind of pirate monkeys, or you'd have monkeys that were in a play and all that kind of stuff. And when you use the radar to lock into them, you could read their minds, because they had like these are monkeys that an evil monkey had put these helmets on them.
Yeah.
And they then could, like, I suppose they acted a bit more human-like. They kind of developed personalities and things like that. So you could listen in. This radar thing would pick up their helmet, and you could listen into their thoughts. So they'd be like, when you locked onto a certain monkey, he'd be thinking something. You'd listen to it, like, man, this game's got a really good sense of humor. Like, it was quite funny.
Do you really think like we need an entire game of that though?
In terms of like, I don't want it to be like if we got a remake, I wouldn't want it to be.
No, it's not a 60, 70 year old
No.
game. Yeah.
Give this game to me for 30, 40 quid and have it like beefed up. And I don't need massively good graphics, but give me like Astro Bot, like clean platforming, cartoony kind of graphics. Because look, as much as there's plenty of games I'd like to have remake, but they're all big bombastic games. Part of me was thinking, I mean, again, when I think of how much fun I had with Astro Bot, that was a great kind of pick up and play. Didn't require too much thought. I don't have to sit down for like, okay, in order to get through this narrative, I got to sit down for 2-3 hours here as a session. I can just pick up and play this for a while. But I really loved, like, I mean, we had Ape Escape 1, 2, and 3 growing up. I probably Ape Escape 2 was the one I'd want to see remade the most, is the most one I remember having the most fun with. But like,
how is it different from Ape Escape 1 and 3?
I think,
are there just more modes and
there's
stuff?
more modes, so there would have been more weaponry you could have used. So I think in Ape Escape 2, or it might have been 3, one of the items that you unlocked was you could get this RC car that you would drive around, and it was really hard it was like fun to navigate, but you'd use that to kind of flush monkeys out of certain areas, because their helmets had like, it was a grey helmet, and it had a light bulb on it, like a policeman's light bulb. Mm-hmm. So when they knew you were there, that alarm would go off like a siren on a police car, and they'd start running away, and it'd be harder to catch them. And what was great was in Astro Bot, which is kind of what made me think I'd really love an Ape Escape game, was that one of the areas in Astro Bot was a homage to Ape Escape, and there was like 6 or 7 monkeys that you could catch in that, which was great. Like,
you enjoyed that?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, I've good news for you if you want.
What?
Do you remember we were just talking about like I mean, this is in the vein of remakes, but Metal Gear Solid 3 remake
has the Ape Escape.
Has the Ape Escape monkeys.
So it has the monkeys in it, but they're kind of, because there's a Konami relationship between Ape Escape
that's what
and
it is. Okay,
that's what,
yeah.
that's
I was
wondering,
because I just saw a picture of that monkey and went, that's in Metal Gear.
Yeah. So in Metal Gear Solid 3, because of the Konami relationship, there was some monkeys. There was a monkey mode in it. I think there was one area of the map in Metal Gear Solid 3 where you as Snake could go around and try and capture these monkeys.
Well, I think they're in every area.
Are they?
Do you remember in Metal Gear Solid 3 there used to be a thing where you, in every area there was a frog.
Yes.
And you had to like find it.
You shoot
I
it
think
and make that
that's
noise.
the replacement for this.
Because it did exist before, but like that is but it's in Metal Gear Solid fashion. Like with Spike, the character you had, he just had like a monkey catching array of items, which I really, really enjoyed. So I'd love to see something like that Again, Ape Escape 2 was probably my favorite. Like, again, the humor, you'd learn lots about these monkeys, and some monkeys are trying to find other monkeys, and it was just a fun game to, like, a really fun, easy, like, turn your brain off, just chase monkeys. Yeah. So Ape Escape 2 as a remake would be my first. This isn't my, I'm going in kind of 3, 2, 1 is my order here in terms of my most desired remake. So this, out of the three of them, is my least desired, but it still made the top 3. Great game. Looking forward to it.
Excellent choice. Okay,
right, hit me with your next one.
Another one then. And I know we've had games in this series since this, but for me, this has always been the best one. Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
Nice. That was on my honorable mentions list.
Really?
Command and Conquer game.
Command and Conquer Red Alert 2. I love how it's not, do you know, like Civilization, you're managing fucking a million different things at once. I like the simplicity of just building an ore refinery. The ore goes out and, you know, picks up the shit, and then you just create a barracks and some soldiers come out. You know, it's very quick, it's simple. You just build them by 10 different buildings and then you go. I would love to see a remake, not remaster of that, because it, like, I've seen remasters of it and it's still like, because the game is from early 90s,
old games, and
it'll always look stretched and upscaled, and there's no real way around that. But I would love to see a proper remake of that game, particularly with, say, the unit types, because in Red Alert 2 it was always so fun to just like have your Tesla coil or your Tesla tanks, and like even like
Tanya,
like you could one shot people, and I would like lean in, and like, because it's like 2026, have like all sorts of drones and fucking
the modern day kind of warfare.
Even like take a whack at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and have a fucking Technodrome fucking tank that can dive underground and tunnel along, and then when it comes above the surface, everyone just bails out and starts shooting.
When I see this in my head, and correct me, maybe you're not looking at it the same way, Command and Conquer, for those who don't know, it was very top down, like your Civilization. But with Civilization, you can zoom into the things that you've created, and there's lots of detail and stuff like that. Would you like a Command and Conquer that you had a bit more autonomy over the camera? You could zoom in on the. Are you kind of interested in
I don't need that. That would be cool, but I don't need it.
Okay.
And like, at the expense of the gameplay, I'd throw that out. So for me, like, I would prioritize building fun, unique units.
Okay.
Like the Desolator, he was like the Iraq, like he was like the Libyan special unit, and he like blasted everyone with a little poison, and they just fucking melted. You know, and then he could like fire his like cannon at the ground and make it poisonous, and everyone got sick and died.
You had
like,
that self-destruct.
Like, the crazy Ivan, who like would run around and just put bombs on everything and blow himself up.
Which is great.
Like, lean more into that. Like have like dozens. Like, just have endless amounts of crazy units that you can just have fun with, like, you know, even if they're just fucking guys on jetpacks that like, or
and would
people who jump out of mechs or jump out of planes and are in a mech suit just walking around. I'm like, just go fucking.
And would you go the same kind of standard gameplay?
Definitely. So like, you have live action cutscenes.
Oh, sorry.
So that's where you're going to go. I guessed.
I meant in terms of, because you have your main game with live action cutscenes that has Tim.
Because all you have to do is Tim Curry.
Yeah.
All you have to do is add a video file, and it just appears in the top corner. I was like, that is genius, because it looks like they're just the commanders, but like, it has nothing to do with anything.
Get loads of people in and to really
really ham it up Tim Curry style.
You know? Really ham it up, because that was funny.
This is the president of the United States.
So good.
So you're clearly Russian. No, I am the president. I swear. He has like a funny mustache on.
So did you play? Because I finished Red Alert and
Red Alert 2, Yuri's Revenge,
and Revelations, Command and Conquer.
Yes,
Revelations, the third one or whatever. I finished all of them, and I enjoyed the storyline mode, especially like the ants. I think the ants mode at the end, where like the world was like
I don't remember.
There's giant ants, and
the story was fun.
It was, and it was wacky. Mad. But my thing that I spent most of the time on it was just where you put yourself on that map with 3 other AIs, essentially.
Skirmish mode.
That's
my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Most of my time was skirmish mode, because you just build everything. I would just build my base to be as like the ultimate defense. I had Tesla coils and flame towers everywhere, like an army of tanks. I would send spies in to like steal the technology of the other enemy bases so I could build their stuff. And then once my base had absolutely everything, I sent all my tanks in to obliterate it, but only after I had built everything. You know?
I love the because you could only play as the Allies or the Soviets, and with Allies you had certain technology, and with Soviets you had certain technology. So, for example, the Allies didn't have Tesla technology, so I used
unless
to love
you had a spy,
and you could have construction. I can't remember what they're called. The engineers, and they would
if they went into a building, they captured it, and
like
so when you would attack a base, you leave the key buildings and send your engineers in, and
take them over.
You have that tech,
and you have all the
felt
technology.
so powerful.
Man, it was so good, because if you were Allies, Allies always felt weaker, but if I was the Allies and I captured a Soviet base, like the idea that I'd have like mammoth tanks and Tesla coils, I was like, I'm unstoppable.
Now I have the technology of both. Yeah. So just loads more of that, but better graphics, more crazier fucking cutscenes with the characters. Hire a bunch of actors to bring in for fun and have no second takes. If they start laughing mid-script, just fucking go with it.
Man, that'd
keep
be great.
rolling.
That's a great job. Because it was on, because there was so much stuff about that game, because that's on my honorable mentions. I was going to ask, like, before we did our last one, Command and Conquer, I was like, I'd love to see that modernized for sure. In a fun way, not in a, let's take ourselves very seriously, but that game was fun, and I'd want it to be a real fun modernization of it. Would be great. Great shout.
Yeah, I think that was a good one. It's just, you run the risk with, like, look, with Age of Empires 4 and all those civilizations, they're just trying to go too big.
Yes.
I would just keep it simpler, you know, just like have it the way it was, just with more weapons and more units. But don't be managing like all a bunch of like freaking trade routes and
like I said, I think that exists, you know, and for those who enjoy it, that exists in its form of civilization or in whatever else. Command and Conquer was very much just a pick up and a go, attack and build, and that's all you needed, and that's all you want.
And like kick-ass music to go along with
it.
It's just a good time.
It was fucking great.
Everyone knows that.
Man, so good.
So good.
Great shout. My next one's a bit of a cheat. You'll probably disapprove. But
I'm disapprove your first one. So like,
no, this is more of a. I'm going to take the. My next remake is I want the definitive or the legendary edition, which packs 3 games into one. The legendary edition of Mass Effect. So I would love to see the Mass Effect games 1, 2, and 3. In particular, Mass Effect 1, because I think it's a really hard game to return to now.
I had to skip it.
Yes,
I played it for like 2 hours, and then I just like, I'm not enjoying this.
I think I did maybe a bit more.
And the jump from Mass Effect 2 was massive. I was like, okay, this is 10 times better.
And it's a pity because when I wanted to play through I think it's called the Legendary Edition, isn't it?
I have it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So good to have all 3 games. But when I came upon that and got it, I was like, right, start to finish. Because in my initial play, the very first time I played Mass Effect, I just did 2 and 3. We didn't have Mass Effect 1. And then you could start off 2 and it would like randomize the shit.
You just hadn't bought it.
Because we kind of came to Mass Effect from Mass Effect 2 and 3. I never played Mass Effect 1 initially.
The first one you bought was 2?
First one, well, my brothers bought 2 when I happened to play it, but we didn't have one at the time. So when you create your character in 2, there was like, it'll randomly assign kind of what happened in 1.
Well, you could pick. There's an option, and
but we didn't know who the fuck or what they were talking about. So we were like, okay, random, whatever.
But like, if like me in the Legendary Edition, you play it for a few hours, you're kind of like, okay, I've met a few of the characters, I know what's kind of going on, and then ultimately when it's like this character sacrificed himself to save you, it's like, oh no, but maybe I prefer that one died instead. You know?
So that was the reason I say this is because I watched a clip recently for the end battle of Mass Effect 3 where they get all the ships to attack.
Fucking incredible.
Unbelievable, right? And I was watching, and it's about a 7 or 8 minute long clip, and the CGI is decent.
It's very good, Darren.
Sorry, okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it is decent. It is decent. It's slow though. Do you know what I
mean? For 2008, 2009, whatever it was.
It's which is why I want to, because it feels a bit slow, a bit heavy. Do you know what I mean? When I was watching that cutscene, but the Mass Effect series as a trilogy is phenomenally good. Some of the best
it's
sci-fi
one of the greatest
trilogies
ever made.
Yeah.
But it's aged so well, Darren. That's why I'm like...
So, no...
Maybe a decade from now, I'd agree with you. But like right now, like... Because even when I played it like a year or 2 years ago, I was like, this is brilliant.
No, it is. But I mean, for me, I looked at that kind of the battle. Because you look at what technology can do today. And when I say remake, I would like, again, what you were talking about, I want the game remade with quality of life things. So the first Mass Effect, clunky as hell. I can't play the game. Like, I cannot touch the game. So I would love for that to be kind of really modernized. And don't get me wrong, the stuff, especially when you get to Mass Effect 3 with all the different kind of abilities that you can go for, more of the psychic stuff, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Some of that, again, in my more recent playthrough of it, and again, more recent, I did it when the Legendary series came out, so I don't know how old that is now at this stage. But that felt a little bit clanky to me, or clunky to me as well. Some of the psychic stuff, like the movement and all that kind of stuff, I love that to be like really well modernized, to make it feel like a real like Returnal or something like that, where all the movement is so smooth. And I don't know, like I wouldn't want the voice acting to change, because I think the voice acting for it's perfect. I think
it would have to, though.
You think?
Because otherwise then it's almost like a remaster in that way.
Okay.
I think especially because
it's just Shepard. Like, I mean, unless you get everybody back, because there's nobody, like I think of all the characters.
But are you even saying that like it would be 1, 2, like would it be like the remake series where we have 1 again, 2 again, and 3 again, or would you like just all done in one?
No, I would do 1 again, 2 again, 3 again, because I think it's too big to turn into one.
It is too big. Plus, if you kept the dialogue the same, you would have to, because you'd be having too much of the same fights over and over again, and you wouldn't be able to, like what you could have in 2008. over 3 games to have that in just one. It would just be too much of the same fighting.
No,
like,
I'd have it as in Mass Effect 1 remake, Mass Effect 2 remake. I'd have them as 3 separate.
Then
so
I think
I'm cheating
you
here,
need
like,
you need to change the dialogue, because you need to be able to input more than what they say. Because even what they say now,
can we get all the voice
enough.
actors back though? Because I mean, I love
I would attempt
Morden,
doing that.
Shepard, they're all great voice actors.
Especially if you were creative, you'd be like, oh no, what if we had them do this and say this? Like, and to be limited by that just means you have a crappy remaster on your hands.
At the end of Mass Effect 2, you kind of do that infiltration mission or whatever else, and you send
suicide mission.
Yeah, the suicide mission.
Fucking gold.
It's so good, but I will say, Craig, like in my most recent playthrough, it's cool. It is really, really good, but there's some of the action scenes, like the explosions going off, it looks old, that kind of way. Yeah. Whereas I'd say if you were to do the fucking suicide mission in modern day graphics with modern day big orchestral music pieces, you wouldn't find a better piece of sci-fi video game out there ever. And
it's so good.
So like, and even with that, the last battle where all of the ships come together to launch at the oh my god, is it the P? What are they? The enemy was called? Launches at their planet.
The replicators?
No, it was the replicators. The end baddie. They all charge that planet.
I can't remember their name.
But all that ships, that space fight scene looks unbelievable. But could you imagine that with, like, I know we all disagree on how good the movie was, but the opening to Revenge of the Sith, that like space battle, unbelievably. Imagine something looking like that. You know, and you not even that, Craig. You get to fucking fly through some of it. You know, imagine a remake of Mass Effect, that kind of like, you know.
I'm on board that with some fucking ship to ship battles in there. Oh, Skies of Arcadia style.
Do you know what I mean?
You're getting me now, Darren. You know?
Now I've got you on board.
Because the Normandy was like a stealth ship, and it was very capable of doing loads of different things, but that never materialized in the game, other than like landing on the moon or scanning resources.
Yes, exactly. You know? And you could really build on those kind of things, because the thing about
there should have been like fucking scenes where like 2 ships are fucking battling it out, and then you just fucking sneak up on one of the ships, dock with it, board it, and then go with your whole team, just annihilate everyone.
There you go, man.
I was like, give me a mission like that. Class. Okay, yeah, I'm on board. Yeah,
and the thing about it is that for Mass Effect, I've always hoped that we would continue getting great Mass Effect stuff, and I knew Mass Effect was done with 1, 2, and 3 when Andromeda came out.
But you were one of the people. Oh no, wait, no, you didn't defend Andromeda.
No, God, I know. Okay, to date, it's the only game I was because I just wanted to get my money back for it. But I ejected the disc from that game after playing it for about 4 hours, and was so close to cracking that disc over my knee. I was like, this is such an insult to what Mass Effect was that I now know that we're not going to get anything ever like we got before, so let's just remake what we got before, and let us all rediscover that in amazing graphics, amazing voice acting, unbelievable set pieces, because the set pieces were great, but modern day graphics with like orchestral pieces of music, charging on your suicide mission, be so good. Punching that journalist in the face if you want to go real rogue.
It's one of the best trilogies ever, and it ties itself, especially in terms of storytelling, from 1 to 3.
Yes.
And like those, you know, like even the Telltale games, they don't do it nearly as good. No. Because in fucking Mass Effect, like a character that could have died in freaking the very first hour of Mass Effect 1 could be with you at the very end game of Mass Effect 3.
If you change your decisions.
Yeah, like that is incredible.
When I think of the tree with all its branches of where everything could go, that must have been such a nightmare to try and contemplate, like all of those decisions through 3 those fucking branches, games. Insane. There you go. That was my number 2. So give us, Craig, what is your number 1? I know it's not your choice, but your last remake.
My number 1. What was I going to go
your number
for?
1 was Tales of...
True, yeah. I guess I'll mention an honourable mention
before we go.
Two. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
You're a lover of that, yeah.
I absolutely adore that game. I think like a remake of that, focusing, because Conker's Bad Fur Day is kind of like the Deadpool of video games.
Yep.
Like it breaks the fourth wall constantly and has so many like pop culture references, but most of them are from like The Matrix or The Terminator or Saving Private Ryan. And like if you did a remake, you should have kind of more modern.
All Quiet on the Western Front and The Matrix 3 or
Matrix 3 or like the Dune movies and stuff like that, or the Marvels and stuff like that. I just think it could lend itself well to modern day shake up. Stardew Valley.
You want a Stardew Valley remake?
I think what your man Concerned Ape did was incredible, but imagine if there were 2 people. Imagine for a second, Darren, there were 3 people. Can you think about that for a second? Or 5 or 6, or just like open that game up.
So tell me, like opening that game up, what does that look like? What more do you want from Stardew
Valley?
So
I'm saying remake. I want it built from scratch in 3D.
Okay.
Flesh it, because I think the Stardew Valley like has a kind of weird, sinister story to it. like with the stuff going on with the wizard, who I think is Abigail's dad, and the witch I honestly think is Abigail's mother, and she's drinking some tea to stop herself from turning into a witch. Like, that's just a fan theory that I have, but I fucking love. You know, or Linus with, like, the wars and stuff like that.
Just like in pictures, you're talking about turning it into like a 3D game.
Turning into a 3D game.
What kind of style
and
graphically?
It's still your like classic game where, you know, you're just kind of going through life, doing a bit of farming, but over time you peel back the layers of a grand story within the characters on the island. So I would just, every character we know and love, like fucking Linus, with the guy who was off at war, like, just have all those characters, like, peel it back, and the more we, like, the more hearts we get with them through relationships, the more they open up about what they've done, and we even see flashbacks of what they've done.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
to the point where, because the entire cast of Stardew Valley are completely beloved at this point. There's like Reddits, there's subreddits for just individual characters. Just bring, like, make each one of them almost the main character of a game, just over the grand scope of time, you know, peel it back, you know, like, the more the more you hang out with them, the more you do, the more they reveal, and the more it changes who they are and what they're doing. I just think Stardew is one of those games that could go on forever, but I'd like to see maybe just get a big team in, do it in 3D, just seeing your favorite characters in 3D. Like, it'd be enough to just make everyone lose their minds, you know, and then have it as big and as creative, almost in the Coral Island vein, but like with a whole team behind it.
So that style, in terms of graphically, you're looking for that kind of Coral Island style of 3D, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't even mentioned.
No, it's just an honorable mention on this, and I can respect that.
And the last one I wanted done, and I know it was done, but it wasn't done well, and I was and I hate it, and it was Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh,
So they remade the game with dice or whatever, and they gave you, like, 5 or 6 maps, and they just went all about graphics, and then it was shit. I want to see Star Wars Battlefront, but in the old Republic era. You know, none of this, like, it's like, oh, how many like lightsaber users do we have? We have Darth Vader, who can only walk because he's a fucking cripple, and then we have Luke Skywalker, but they, like, those two have to fight, and there's no one else. You know, I want an era where there's fucking loads of lightsabers, there's loads of different Force users.
Wasn't there just to refresh my memory, was it Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2 where you had that mode in Tatooine? Or at least I always played it in Tatooine.
The hero mode. The hero mode. Yeah, you could do that. But I want 4 factions. I want the Jedi-led Republic. I want the Sith, like, in their fucking prime, where they
don't do this, like, the two
no, but, like,
bullshit.
I want the Sith when they were like weak as fuck, because there's way too many of them, and they're just, in order to defeat the Jedi, they're just giving everyone a lightsaber and, like, you're a Sith, you're a Sith, you're a Sith, you know, because, like, it's chaos, because they're getting annihilated, and, like, the Jedi are like, no, we strictly only give a lightsaber
to the best,
to the absolute best of the best. But in order for the Sith to try and they have a numeric advantage, you know, they're untrained, they're unfocused, they're just sending wave after wave of crappy Force users like at the enemy. So I want to see the Sith. I want to see an alliance of worlds across the Outer Realm, including, like, many Force users, and like the Witches of Dathomir, the Mandalorians, the Wookiees, like a faction of all them rallying against the kind of Republic, you know, who I see as almost an enemy. Well, not necessarily an enemy, but, like, so you'd have the Trade Federation as well, who are just kind of, they're the corporate motherfuckers, and they're trying to get involved, and they believe that, like, no, in war we shouldn't have beings killing each other, so they're like, no, we'll push the droid thing, you know. And, like, the other factions are like, the Jedi shouldn't be able to police the galaxy and say who can use what Force powers. Like, why is it only someone who can use the Force is only a Jedi? That doesn't seem fair. Why do you get to decide that? So, like, you have all these factions being like those witches of Dathomir, the Wookiees, you know, whoever has abilities with the Force and wants to use it, but the Jedi are like, no, you can't do that. You have
to be
so
a Jedi.
The idea being, there's 4 factions, but every one of the factions, when you play as them, is the good guy.
Okay,
you know? And like, the other is evil, and it's always a hero in that. So it's a kind of a tragic story in the, like, campaign.
Yeah.
But then in the multiplayer, like, you've just got deadly units, and fucking, you've got Darth Mauls jumping around the place with witches firing lightning, and, you know, just make it bigger and make it better, you know. But most importantly, in the very first mission, we want to be, it's a ground mission like HOTS. We're fucking fighting all the spaceships. We defend the base, and it's like, all right, quick, get to the objective. And you're like, where's the objective? And then you look up, and the objective marker is directly above you, and you're like, what the hell? So then you get in a spaceship and you fly upwards, and it's like going through the atmosphere, and all of a sudden it's a fucking Star Destroyer in space, seamless, and then you start attacking that, and then it's like, get inside, we gotta blow this thing up from the inside, and then you dock with the Star Destroyer, go in, blow the shit out of that, and then you fly off. And like, because that is the mission I want.
Battlefront, and was it Battlefront or Battlefront 2 was
Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront series. You could have it was a galactic conquest where like there was like say 13 worlds, and you had a fleet, and the end like your opponent had a fleet,
and they could
you
cross.
Moved them to planets, and you took over those planets, and wherever your fleets met, you had a space battle. And if your fleet beat their fleet, you would attack the planet do a ground assault. That is crazy cool.
So good. And I think the only thing that for me, I love that game, I love the space battle, but when you docked in, which is always my plan to go in with an engineer who had the bombs to blow up the light support from
you could start sabotaging the ship.
The ship was just a little bit inside, because and this is why I really appreciate the idea of a remake here. The inside of the ship was a bit lifeless in terms of like people.
Oh yeah, very much.
But
so,
if you could go in there, modern day shit.
So like if you were in the ship, an enemy would be like, okay, shoot, like if I die, I can respawn in the ship to try and get rid of them. But when you're up against so many AI, they don't do that. But if it's 20 on 20 and it's person versus person, people are gonna panic. Like, get back to the ship.
I used to love
Red 5, where are you?
You could take the old transport ship from kind of Attack of the Clones era, and you could lock it up with people and fly that into another ship and get them all out in the hangar. But
not only that, then if someone died, because a ship. Those ships counted as a spawn point. So if you died, you could spawn back into the ship until someone blew up the ship. So you'd have people coming out with rocket launchers trying to blow, and it was someone's mission to defend the ship. So everyone's off blowing up the base. You're like, no, I gotta protect the ship.
And
so
like
we
you
can
do
keep
fucking
spawning.
16v16 online with loads of other AI. Yeah, man, Battlefront's a great shout.
Great shout. Crazy factions.
And it's a pity, because I know Battlefront now, the remake ones that they did, are much more beloved now than they were when they first came out, because they stripped it of the microtransaction bullshit and all the heroes.
If you don't have space battles, then I don't want to know you.
Fair, yeah, absolutely, because I think that was one of the best things about them. So,
I think we're in an age now where we could graphically handle that, and I don't care if like when. From flying from the ground to space, you hide a loading screen with the atmosphere going, or there's some flame, or just taking a bit long because like it should take a while to get out of the atmosphere. Hide your loading screen in that. I don't care, but let me break through and see the space battle, and let
the
me
moment the cloud clears,
it's
just like it'd be so good, man. That'd be so
just let me have that moment. It's a dream, like
We live in hope. I guess honorable mentions, I suppose, before I go into my last one.
Yes.
I guess modern day kind of graphics, I'd love for it to get the Insane trilogy glow up.
Insane?
Crash Bandicoot got the Insane trilogy where it just looked great. I'd love to see Jak and Daxter come back. One of my most beloved PlayStation 2 games. No, Jak and Daxter had like, it went Jak 1, 2, and 3, and then I had a Jak racing game called Jak X,
I'm thinking Lilo, or Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, yeah. The ones that won. Because I was always a Jak and Daxter guy. I wasn't interested in Ratchet and Clank, but Ratchet and Clank were more beloved.
Though, aren't they?
Oh, they were competitors almost in my mind. Growing up, I was like, the Jak and Daxter duo is way better than Ratchet and Clank duo, but I was wrong apparently. But I'd love to see the original one. I'm not. 2 and 3, people have different mixed opinions on. They kind of went a bit GTA, like they was kind of a bit more aggressive, it was a bit darker. But I would just love to see the first one modernized with the Crash Bandicoot graphics, because I think the storyline for the first one's great. And the fact that Jak was the silent protagonist I loved. I wasn't a mad fan of his personality in 2 and 3, where they gave him a voice and they gave him a bit of a character. I was
He's like, that wasn't the voice I had in my head for decades.
Exactly, yeah. So that's my honorable mention. But to come to the one which I'm sure probably most people would probably know I'm about to say, I would love to see a remake in modern day graphics in the style of, not necessarily the seriousness of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but in terms of the effort and the graphical upgrade. I'd love to see Kingdom Hearts 1. I mean, we're not surprised.
Like in my head, I was like, Kingdom Hearts, he's going. I can't wait to see Kingdom Hearts.
Because here's the thing, right? I tried to do like a platinum run of Kingdom Hearts 1 there recently, and unfortunately I put it on proud mode, and the stats I picked up at the start made the game almost impossible for me to finish.
They will probably do that though.
I'd love them to do it. The thing about it is I played through it was the final mix of number 1 was the one I played through most recently, which I'd never played before. The only one I'd played before that was the original Kingdom Hearts 1, which I'd finished numerous times. But playing through it, they have reduced some of the clankiness in combat, but it is still very much a 2001 whatever game. I would love to see it in modern day graphics. They've done kind of an Unreal Engine 5 kind of for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it looks like for Kingdom Hearts 4 kind of like shiny kind of graphics, which I'm not really into. I'd prefer a bit more of the I don't really know, like maybe a bit more of the remake side of stuff where it's got a serious edge to it, but like again, remake or rebirth in the Final Fantasy world is so colourful as well at the same time. I'd love to see that. But if I was to talk about changes, Kingdom Hearts 1 was the most successful in terms of the combination of Disney
plus
meets Final
narratively
Fantasy.
massively. It's the only one that you could actually jump in and know what's happened.
Absolutely. And so from if they were to remake Kingdom Hearts 1, I'd love, again, just a big boost in graphics, a big boost in how seamless the gameplay would be, make it really fun, because Kingdom Hearts 2, even though it's so old now, it flows really well. The gameplay is great. I'd love to see that for Kingdom Hearts 1. But at the same time, I'd love to see them, because I think they were testing it out in 1, and then Tetsuya Nomura got his Square Enix hands on it to a degree where he wanted to get the Disney stuff, the Monsters Inc., the Toy Story, the popular shit, and we lost all the Final Fantasy stuff. But I'd love to see a remake of Final Fantasy or of Kingdom Hearts 1 where the Final Fantasy characters had a bit more of an importance to the overall story.
In the OG game, it was 50-50. Like, it was. It kind of felt like that.
But I love them because it was 50-50 but self-contained. But I'd love to see it where they made it so that when we go into Kingdom Hearts 2, there has to be a bigger representation of the Final Fantasy characters, because that just drifted and ebbed and then just disappeared, and we got all of his kind of, I like some of the characters, but there's other ones that I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the Xions that come in the later game. I'm not a big fan of kind of the Roxas Ventus kind of character. I know lots of people love him. He's not my kind of person, but I'd love to see Kingdom Hearts 1 with the music. The music's amazing. Give me the big heavy orchestral pieces of it. Big battles. And like that, like there's such important parts in it. If you're a lover of the game, like where Sora finally finds Riku again, but Riku's been taken by the power of darkness, and he's talking about he's there to save Kairi. That fight could look insane. Do you know what I mean? Riku with the dark keyblade versus you with your the original Kingdom key. You can make an incredibly cool looking fight, because I played it and I really enjoyed it, but while I was playing through it I was like, man, I'm definitely playing a very early PS2 game right now, in terms of even when you have that final battle at Destiny Island where your fighting looks kind of shitty in 2D and not amazing, whereas it's one of my favorite games of all time. The idea that I could get that in top tier graphics, flowing brilliantly with the Final Fantasy characters on stage and melding with the Disney characters we're not even Cloud and Squall, but I love the idea that Merlin was there with Sid and Aerith. You know, that kind of really crossing these characters. Do you know what I mean? And like Mickey Mouse was kind of off doing his own thing for the most part. He had like Ansem as his character, but would
you add to the narrative then, or is this copying
I would have the narrative the same, but I'd blend more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Mickey's off doing his own thing. He's off on a mystery thing, and
what would you see him more in the game?
No, not that I'd see him more, but I'd have him there with a Final Fantasy character. Do you know what I mean? That him and this other guy are doing this mission. Like him and Zidane, or him and someone from the Final Fantasy series are off doing this mission together. Or him and fucking, the girl from Final Fantasy 6. Do you know what I mean? Who everybody loves. Celeste. Like, just make it so that it's... Because it was such a fascinating thing when I came across it initially, these two worlds blending. And they... kind of barely blended. Do you know what I mean? They whereas I'd love for it to be like, this
until
is the
Kingdom Hearts 2
crossover.
and the Hercules worlds, then it like, when you have freaking Hades summoning Orin, you're just like, okay, there is a nice blend.
That's what I mean, like incorporate the story, because the thing that happens later on in the games is that just doesn't, like, anything that's to do with Final Fantasy has nothing to do with this. In fact, most of the Disney characters have nothing to do with the overarching story, and that's where it got lost. But I'd love to in a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake, I'd love it to really cement the importance of your journey with Disney and Square Enix in a big, big way. Make them like these are inseparable. They're all completely meshed together. And for the rest of the series, it's important that we keep this. That's how I'd love a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake to go.
Fair.
There we go.
Good stuff. How are we doing on time there?
That's it. We're good.
Oh, okay.
That's enough time. We're just about to hit the hour mark. Why, do you have anything else you want to show?
No, I was just going to like add to like that, but I don't want to overly talk about Kingdom Hearts. But,
no.
But I have one question.
Yes,
like then,
yes.
Would you still have, because in the original Kingdom Hearts, very much the original movie that those games, like for example, when you're doing the Aladdin world, or when you're doing the Little Mermaid,
they're based off the movie.
They're based off the original movie.
Yes.
And you're saying you want it more connected. So would you therefore change that narrative?
I would have, maybe that narrative is happening in the same, so like the Aladdin stuff is happening in the same, like, where they're trying to stop Jafar from becoming the genie.
But if he already is aware of the Heartless and how they control them, should that not impact? And what does he want to do then? Or does he simply just want to rule Agrabah?
Yeah, but well, I mean, to a degree, yes, but I want there to, because they were like, there was a Sinister Six type thing going on in Kingdom Hearts 1.
But they were very much just locked into their own world.
Yes,
other than Maleficent, who was never in the Sleeping Beauty world ever.
No, she was there. You never went there at all. But that's what I mean. I want it all to be blended better. I don't want it to be like, because if you have these guys having secret meetings in Maleficent's castle, like, fucking Hook Buck and Oogie Boogie, and I'm like, great, but let's have these guys in for a real plan that's cross border. Do you know what I mean? That like,
well, that's what I mean, because if Jafar is just going to go back and look for the genie, then he's not. There's no real point of him even.
To
being
me,
in
it's
this.
like we want to take control of Kingdom Hearts. How do we do it? Jafar's like, well, I know of a power from my world that I think will help us to unlock Kingdom Hearts. So like, I'm going to become the genie, but I'm not becoming the genie to become the genie to rule Agrabah. I'm becoming the genie because that's part of this power that I use to unlock
we need
Carlos.
more of that then.
Yes. And I think like that when you go to fucking Traverse Town and you have a couple of Disney, like the fucking oh my god, I can't think of the three ducks.
I can't remember their names.
Oh man, something, whatever. But like, you've got some characters there, but I want there to be a real, because Leon's there with Yuffie, and they're kind of like, oh, we've been trying to find the key, but there's nothing definitive there. But I want it all to be like, you go to Traverse Town, boom, there's a story here, and it's Final Fantasy meets Disney, and you go to go to Agrabah and have Jafar, but also have and Aladdin, but also have fucking Zidane. He'd kind of fit in that world. Yeah. And if you're talking about Hollow Bastion or Traverse Town, or you go to fucking Midgar, but also in Midgar you've got like, I don't know, Big Hero 6 type shit. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, blend it, like have all these things kind of really come together in a way that they were testing the water, but they never really went in for a dip.
It's just because every Final Fantasy character was supposed to be from the Radiant Garden world. So it's kind of like you have about 10 different Disney worlds and one Final Fantasy world.
So I probably bring more, and I wouldn't make it so obvious.
You need to have more. You can't just have everyone from Radiant Garden where Ansem is from. That should be just one. And
exactly.
Then 8, 7, 10, they should all just
and
have
like that, because
worlds.
Radiant Gardens is made up place for the game. It doesn't
just
exist.
Don't have Radiant Garden.
Yes, or like if you want to have Radiant Gardens, this is for the Sora, Riku, like the characters that
Sora,
are made.
Riku, and Ansem, but like leave Cloud in his world and Squall in his.
Yeah. Go to fucking Balam Garden. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
then
fuck
you get
yes.
to play on that type of stuff. Like,
you hop in.
It's the battle between Balaam and Galbadia.
And you're hopping in right in there, fucking man. Yeah, you know what I mean. Oh, Craig, there's like, ooh, they wanted to, but they never went far enough. You know, that's what I'd love to see in a remake.
Disney always gets priority.
Yes,
that's
unfortunately. I mean, it was probably fucking too expensive to get their licensing not to, but yeah, that's what I'd love to see. Craig, that was great. That was
good fun.
Some good remakes in there. Touch wood, we'll get them all in the future.
You'll get most of yours will happen. I might get the Command and Conquer one, but after that, I really don't think so. Battlefront is dead and buried now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They've killed it. Skies of Arcadia Legends, I just can't see
You never know, though. You get weird kind of ones back from the past. You never know. There might be a Sega are doing a big drive of kind of putting out like Crazy Taxi and some of the other games are supposedly in the works for being remade, so you never know.
Well, we live in hope.
If you're interested in listening to me and Craig talk some more, we're going to go into the post show now at patreon.com/thegiftofgaming, where we're going to talk about, I think, what we're hoping to play this year, or probably just shit on Crimson Desert, which is out today. So who knows? If you're interested in listening to that, check out patreon.com/thegiftofgaming. Craig, thank you so much for telling us all about your remakes. And Darren, yes, thank you. No problem for
thank you, Darren. The listeners appreciate it. Yeah.
And to your listeners, as always, and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.